Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories. So subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: Clash of Cops. Useless cop versus competent cop in hotel chaos. The second story: Employee challenges unethical after-hours expectations. Sparks meeting drama. The third story: From slave to hero. How I exposed the system's lies and left my replaceable employer in chaos. The first story is Useless cop, competent cop. This is a story that happened a long time ago. I heard it secondhand from multiple people, both staff and our regulars. I made sure to type it up so I wouldn't forget it, and I think enough time has passed that I can now post it. After arriving for my afternoon shift, I learned that we had a pretty violent fistfight on my property that morning, in which we had to call the police to break it up. There's many people in play here, and I'll abbreviate the code names I've given everyone, so bear with me. The time is 11:45 a.m., quarter to checkout time. The kitchen attendant, K.A., is on her break and having a conversation with Dr. Dr., one of our long terms. They are both sitting in our hotel's den. Cue birthday family, coming up to the front desk to check out. Annoying mother, AM, and angry father, AF, make a big deal about needing to change and divide up payment. They tell their 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, to go watch TV in the lobby while they give my front office manager a headache. After a minute passes, the girl, no older than 10, comes back and complains that the boys won't let her watch what she wants. AM knows we have a TV in the den and tells her daughter to go use that one. You cannot see our den from the front desk, so AM does not realize that Doctor is currently utilizing the den's TV. The girl heads over there, and seeing that Doctor and KA are currently talking, decides that it's okay to change the channel. She takes the remote off of the end table next to the Doctor and does so. Now, Doctor has a known temper among the staff. He's pleasant so long as he gets what he wants, but even if one thing goes off, it's like dealing with a 3-year-old child. When the girl changed the channel, Doctor yells at her. It was something along the lines of not taking things when others are using them, with more colorful language. This understandably upsets the girl, who starts crying and runs back to the desk. According to KA, Doctor made a comment about how he should probably go back to his room now and leaves the den. However, to get from the den to Doctor's room, you have to walk past the front desk. So the girl runs into the lobby and hugs AF's leg. FOM says that the girl says a man yelled at her, then points out Doctor, who is trying to retreat to his room. AF then leaves the desk to chase down Doctor. Doctor reaches his room, but unfortunately discovers it's being serviced by one of our housekeepers, HSKP, and that the door is propped open. Doctor rushes in and is unable to close the door before AF also barges into the room. AF positions himself in the doorway so that Doctor and HSKP are both trapped in the room and begins verbally threatening to F up Doctor. HSKP, being in the back of the room, tries to discreetly use the room phone to call the front desk. She tells the FOM she needs to call the police, but AF overhears HSKP and begins threatening her as well, saying she has no business in the situation. Meanwhile, at the front desk, AM is comforting her daughter and demanding that FOM also call the police to arrest Doctor. She's apparently decided that Doctor has assaulted her daughter and that she wants him removed from the property. It takes 10 minutes after FOM getting off the phone with dispatch for a cop to show up, meaning our HSKP was trapping in the back of a room while 2 men screamed at each other. Also of note, our phone system has an alarm built into it, so if one of the hotel's rooms dials 911, we're alerted immediately. The shouting match between AF and Doctor escalates so much that not only are the surrounding rooms calling 911, but rooms even on second floor are calling 911. AM is drawing a lot of attention at this point, and our maintenance guy, MG, and another long-term, Bob, have taken it upon themselves to stand on the other side of the lobby and observe, just in case they're needed. Keep in mind, they have no clue that AF and Doctor are screaming at each other. Enter Jose. As you probably imagined, Jose is of Latino descent. He's another long-term guest staying in a room on the opposite side of the hotel, along with several of his employees. Jose is the manager of a construction company. So on days he doesn't feel like going out to the trailer on site, he stays at the hotel to do computer work from his room. Today, as Jose said, seemed like a wonderful day. It was the first day in the last 2 weeks that it's been above freezing, so many people are outside enjoying the weather. Jose decided that the way he was going to enjoy it was by taking a break outside with a beer and cigarette. He takes a can of Miller Lite in his cigarettes and uses the side door to go outside. He walked around to the front of the building and took a seat at one of the benches outside the main doors. Since he bypassed the front desk, he has no idea about the chaos that's going on inside. 10 minutes pass. Jose is just about finished with his beer when useless cop, UC, pulls up in a squad car. UC was described by Jose as a very small man with an even smaller handgun, if you know what I mean. So, UC gets out of his car, staring down Jose the entire time. UC approaches and asks, "Did you call 911?" Jose tells him no. UC nods at the beer can in Jose's hand and says, "You know, I could arrest you for that. It's illegal to have open alcoholic beverages in public. Someone called the cops. I reckon they called about you." UC then asks for Jose's ID and proof he's not loitering. I'm assuming he wanted a hotel key or something. While UC is being a bigot, AF throws the first punch and gives Doctor a black eye. They begin brawling in his room, and HSKP loses her mind. She screams at the top of her lungs and escapes from the room while she can. She continues to scream as she runs down the hallway towards the front desk. MG and Bob hear her and rush down the hallway to see what's going on. FOM also hears HSKP and panics. She spots UC outside the main doors and decided to ignore AM and bring UC inside. She throws open the main doors and tells the cops he needs to come inside now. UC draws his effing gun. He doesn't point it at anyone, but tells the FOM that she needs to calm down. FOM tries to explain the situation going on inside the hotel, but UC insists on finishing his business with Jose first. Meanwhile, MG and Bob discover AF and Doctor duking it out. They jump into the fray and try their best to restrain AF, as Doctor was at this point on the floor trying to protect himself. Competent cop, CC, finally pulls up. He was apparently told by dispatch that there was a disturbance inside the hotel, because addresses are FOM instead of UC. CC tells UC to follow him inside, and then managed to pull apart the 4 men now in Doctor's room. At the end of it all, we had about 20 cops on the property. After the dust settles, AF's story is this. Doctor assaulted his daughter and he shouldn't be held responsible for beating up Doctor. However, after collecting eyewitness statements and reviewing hotel security footage, it was quickly proved that AF was lying, and Doctor never once touched his daughter. AF is escorted off the property by UC in his squad car, his family following in their minivan. CC stays on the property a little longer, chatting with FOM and Jose. He apparently apologized for UC's behavior and also told Jose that he could stand anywhere in our parking lot with an open beer can, and they couldn't legally do anything. CC actually still comes by from time to time, just to get coffee and chat. He did at one point insinuate that UC is in fact throwing his weight around to compensate for a small handgun, if you know what I mean. The second story is, I was told that having plans 20 minutes after my work hours was unethical. Pretty much title. Last week, my direct manager decided to schedule a meeting at 4:15 p.m. on a Friday, which already in itself seems BAF. But then when the meeting ended up taking over 45 minutes, I told her, "I'm sorry, but I do have plans right after this, so I have to go." She decided to go on a rant about how we should always leave the hour after work free in case we're needed, and how even though our work hours are 9 to 5, it is really more like 8 to 6 in case we need to do extra stuff. I honestly could not help but laugh. I muted myself since we were on Zoom, and then I told her that unfortunately I had to go, since my schedule does say I end at 5, and I'm entitled to do whatever I want with my free time. We're supposed to continue the meeting tomorrow on Monday morning, and I am low-key hoping my director, her boss, hops on just to see if she'll bring this up, because my director is actually really chill about this whole thing. As long as we get our work done, he does not care what hours you work or what time. Just wanted to share this little story here since it seems fitting. Edit 1. So a couple of you were asking me to update on this since I did mention I had the meeting this morning with her. So I just got off that meeting, and both her and my director showed up. My director was not aware of this situation. He joined because he wanted input on a project we're working on. So I could tell that she was not planning on bringing it up to avoid problems with him. So I said F it, and when the meeting was almost over, I said, "By the way, I would like some clarification on something. I was informed on Friday that my hours should be 8 to 6 rather than 9 to 5. I just want to make sure that this was stipulated in writing, and that I will be properly compensated for it." When I tell you my director was shook, he had no idea where I was coming from, and all my manager could say was, "We can set up a meeting to discuss this later." So at least my director is aware of the situation. Now we just wait. Edit 2. My manager just sent me a message asking if we can have a phone call in about an hour. She didn't say much, but she did make sure to tell me, "I wish you would have brought this up with me before bringing it before him, because I was not prepared." Which I found hilarious since she was the one that randomly brought it up last week. Let's see if I still have a job in a couple hours. Edit 3. This is the update after I had the call with my manager. She started by asking me why did I feel the need to bring it up in front of the director, and how this was more of a manager-to-employee deal. So at that point, I decided that I'd rather just get everything documented. So I told her if we're gonna have this discussion, I'd rather have it in writing and my director involved. She kinda just said how she felt I was undermining her authority, but she said she was willing to let it go. I told her I would still rather have this all documented just to make sure all my duties were set in stone. She said she would schedule a meeting with her, me, and my director, so I guess we shall see where it goes from here. Might not update for a while depending on when she schedules this meeting, since we're pretty busy this week, but we shall see. Edit 4. So after that phone call with my manager, in which I told her I would rather have a meeting with my director included, she ended up setting one up and I pretty much got my director up to speed on everything. He agreed with me that we should not be expected to work 50 hours, unless documented and specified, and that anything outside of 9 to 5 is none of the company's business, with regards to their employees. My manager then followed up by apologizing about the way she worded things. BS, and how she should not have expected me to pretty much work an extra hour every day just in case. She then proceeded to say that if she ever needs me to stay extra, she will make sure it is properly documented and I am given notice. So at least for now, I've made sure that my manager does not expect me to work over my 40 hours. That's enough for me to just call it a day on this and move on. I will definitely be wary of my manager in case there's any further retaliation, but I think for now I should be good. And the last story is, story from my time as a willing slave to the system. I used to work for a company called Palm Trees Direct for 2 years, as an installer of plants, land cover, and palm trees. It was backbreaking work, and I started at $12, worked with 2 dudes that made $14 and $21 over me. First time at a big company, and I loved working outdoors and with plant life, so I dealt with it. Eventually though, I switched teams to the solo guy. They kept stacking massive amounts of work on. He was making $15. That should have been my warning call, but I stuck it out. I became very good at my job, incredibly skilled and knowledgeable about the industry, and ended up wearing several hats around the company through my new coworker. I was installing, selling, cleaning the shop, running deliveries, operating machinery, etc. Raises come the following year, and I got 50 cents, $12.50. My coworker, $16.50. He told me to be, so I did, and I was told that I was replaceable for the first time in my life. My coworker thought that was BS and threatened to quit, so my boss raised me to a whopping $13.50. Being the stubborn donut I am, I took it in stride, failing to recognize the tactic my homie used. My coworker eventually won the lottery and left, so I received his position and duties at no effing pay increase. Another red flag, dutifully ignored by another victim of this system. Then I started training new recruits. I had been with the company for 2 years, but I've been landscaping privately for 7. My newest recruit started at $15 with absolutely zero experience. I put in my 2 weeks shortly after that, and they didn't try to stop me from leaving. The kicker? The line that I was replaceable. They had to hire 4 guys to replace me, and all of those guys threatened to walk out due to rising overworking conditions, terrible job planning, mistreatment, and failure to increase pay adequately. The moral of the story is, don't ever fall for that BS replaceable line. If you're good at your job and you know it, let your employer feel the empty gap when they have to scramble to fill the void you left behind. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to know when the new video comes out, and hit the like button to support the channel.